In life, we will meet resistance, which can leave us feeling worn down and worn out. But we can find a reason to keep going. Show up, push through, and never give up.
Hey everybody, we're starting a new series today called Never Give Up. And before we dive into what that's all about, I want to ask you a quick question. Does anybody love sports? Now, I really enjoy getting to watch a great game, watching my favorite teams win, watching the Cowboys lose, the snacks that you get when you're watching the game, right? But my favorite thing about sports is the most amazing, incredible, unbelievable stories that come out of the world of sports. Some of these happened before you were born, but odds are that you know about them, right? Because they're legendary. Reggie Miller shoots and makes 8 points in 9 seconds to take the win. The immaculate reception, Franco Harris on the Steelers. Tiger Woods, 16th hole. Roger Federer hits between the legs shot. Kerry Strug lands a perfect vault with a busted ankle to win gold in the Olympics. The American Olympic hockey team wins the miracle on ice. Travis Pastrana doing pretty much anything, right? And my personal favorite, Luke Aikens skydiving into a freaking net. Dude had no parachute, jumped out of a plane, did not die. He landed in a net. Look, what's the point of all these stories, right? What do they all have in common? One thing, resilience. Now, when I say resilience, I mean the ability to keep going even when things are hard. Showing up to face the difficult things in life rather than running away. Knowing you're going to be okay even when things don't turn out the way you hoped. Choosing never to give up. Choosing to find a reason to keep going and growing stronger after you have struggled and failed and faced hard stuff in your life. That is resilience. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about together over the next few weeks. To start, let's be honest with each other, okay? As we talk about resilience and about getting through hard stuff in life, some of you are thinking, but I don't know what I'm going through. Or you don't know what I'm going through. And that might be true because there are some of you who are going through difficult things that maybe no one else knows about. Or maybe people do, but you feel alone in what you're facing. Either way, I don't want to downplay your pain that you are actually feeling. So when we talk about resilience, we aren't saying that your pain or difficulty is something you can just get over. Okay, what we're saying is resilience is about facing the feeling of wanting to stop showing up, to stop trying and stop fighting, and learning to get through to the other side. But if you have ever felt like giving up, look, I get it. I've been there, okay? One time I was working on this project and I had to draw by hand a perfect 5-point star as a pattern. So the process is you start by drawing a perfect circle, which is hard enough. Then you divide the circle into fifths and then you connect the dots, which sounds easy except that each segment is 72 degrees, which isn't exactly a standardized measurement. And then if you mess up one of them, the rest will be off and the star looks pretty janky. So let's just say I ended up in tears after almost 2 hours of trying this project. I was fairly young and I was done. I was ready to quit. Now, we've all been there, right? In a situation where things are difficult, maybe you thought it shouldn't be this hard. See, nothing shakes up your world more than pain. And in the middle of it, the things we want most of all is just for the pain to end. But resilience is the furthest thing from our minds. We just want normal, right? But getting back to normal is out of our hands. Sometimes we can't make hard stuff stop. We can't make the challenge go away. So what do? How do we keep going in that face of that challenge when in that moment, keep going is the last thing we want to do? Thousands of years ago, this guy named Paul had plenty of reason to want to give up. See, Paul started out as not so great of a guy. To put it lightly, he treated people terribly, specifically people who believed in Jesus. But then one day, Paul met Jesus for himself, and everything changed. Paul had heard of Jesus, but once he really got to know who Jesus was, that is when everything changed. Soon, Paul was not just being nice to Christians, he was following Jesus, and he was spreading Jesus' message around the world. He was a leader in the early days of Christianity and helped start so many churches and change so many lives for the better. And you would think that life got great for Paul from that point, right? He found his life's purpose. He had done a complete turnaround from who he used to be. He's a leader in the church. It sounds so great, right? Except it wasn't. In a letter that he wrote to one of the churches, Paul detailed all of the trouble that he dealt with since deciding to follow Jesus. So take a look at this. Paul says, I have been put in prison more often, been whipped times without number, faced death again and again. 5 different times the Jewish leaders gave me 39 lashes. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times shipwrecked. Once I spent a whole night and day adrift at sea. I have traveled on many long journeys, faced danger from rivers and from robbers. I faced danger from my own people, the Jews, as well as from the Gentiles. I have faced danger in the cities, in the deserts, and on the seas. I have faced danger from men who claim to be believers but are not. I have worked long and hard, enduring many sleepless nights. I've been hungry and thirsty and have gone without food. I have shivered in the cold without enough clothing to keep me warm. And that's 2 Corinthians 11, verse 23 through 27. Now, in case you didn't catch all that, prison, being whipped, facing death, lashes, beaten with rods, stoned, that means like hit with rocks, shipwrecked, adrift at sea, danger after danger, hungry, thirsty, cold, intense, right? And this is the guy who wrote half of the New Testament in the Bible. Someone who had every reason to believe that the good stuff he did would equal this incredible life with no pain or difficulty and heartache, was also the guy who faced more difficulty and trouble and pain than most of us could even imagine. But here's where I think that's so important to note, okay? Paul had every reason to give up, but instead he kept going. He had every reason to ditch God because life got harder when he started following God. But he didn't quit. Look at what he wrote to another one of the churches that he served. No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing. Forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead, I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. And that's Philippians 3, 13, 14. The it that Paul's referring to is the idea of knowing Jesus fully. The moment Paul met Jesus, his view of what was important shifted drastically, right? The way he saw the world and other people changed. He knew that there was something bigger than his difficulty and his pain, and all of it had to do with following Jesus. Because here's what Paul knew. Knowing Jesus changes everything, and that includes the way we face hard, difficult, unfair things in life. How does it change everything? Because we remember Jesus himself faced mistreatment, challenges, pain, death. God's son wasn't spared from the worst that the world offered. He was killed because of it. But after being put to death, he came back to life. He beat death and he changed everything. Because now we know that God is bigger than the worst thing that can happen to us. We know God is working in the hardest of times. We know one day God will make it all right. And knowing that makes having resilience possible. Look at what Paul said just after that. Forgetting the past, looking forward to what lies ahead, I press on. Right? Forgetting the way he used to live his life, forgetting the difficulties that could keep him from going after this new way of life with purpose. Paul had one goal in mind, knowing Jesus more. No matter what he walked through, no matter what knocked him down, Paul focused on knowing Jesus more through it. See, keeping our focus on Jesus helps find the resilience we need to keep going. We get knocked down, we're better able to find a reason to get back up and keep going when we trust God is with us, working for us, even in the difficult times that we face. The idea of resilience can feel overwhelming or kind of weird depending on where we are in life. Some of us feel overwhelmed by the idea of getting back up when we're in the middle of what we're facing right now. Others feel like maybe this is helpful for someday, but we don't really, it doesn't relate right now. But the truth is, this topic is so important that young people tend to be taught about it even at a young age, like when you're little kids. In fact, maybe you were taught this without realizing it at the time. Did you ever play with Weebles as a baby? Weebles are these little plastic dolls with a round, heavy, wide bottom, so they rock, but they don't fall over. You could make them fall, but they would get right back up. And the catchphrase was, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Now, it's a baby toy, but it's a great example of what we're talking about when it comes to the idea of resilience. Building resilience means making us a little more like this toy. Building resilience helps us get up when setbacks in our lives try to knock us down. Resilience helps us never give up, and the hope that we have in Jesus helps us develop resilience. While he was alive on earth, Jesus said something to his followers that I think we can help, that it'll help us understand this, right? He said, "I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, because I have overcome the world." John 16, verse 33. Jesus didn't say we might have trouble. He didn't say it was a possibility. He said that trouble is a guarantee in this life. But he also said that we can take heart and have hope because Jesus has already beaten all the trouble we'll ever face, which is amazing news because it means that we don't have to give up. We can bounce back. We can have resilience in the face of anything life throws at us because the Spirit of Jesus is with us. Resilience is the ability to choose hope and move forward from a setback. Resilience helps us never give up. I know this is possible, and I know that we all have it in us to bounce back, to keep fighting for what's possible. I know with Jesus, resilience is possible for everyone, and I know because I've experienced it myself. Do you remember that star I was trying to draw? Well, it took so long to finish that I was going to be late for the event that I needed the star for. But my parents wouldn't let me quit. They said, "Look, one more try." So I did. And I finally got the points right, and the star was perfect. We cut out the pattern, made the star, went to the event. I even got there in time, right? See, resilience helps us never give up, and you never know when you're one more attempt away from success. So when you find yourself facing setbacks that have already cause you to want to give up and stop, just ask yourself this question. Number one, what's happening? In other words, identify the situation you're in that causes you to want to give up. What's causing the pain and the hardship? What do you wish was different about the situation that you're in? One of the first steps toward building resilience is being honest about what you're facing and how you want it to change. See, resilience isn't about pretending things aren't hard or ignoring hard things. It means facing them head on. And honesty helps us do that. And the next thing is, what is true no matter what? When we're facing difficulties, it's important to focus on what is true, which is what Paul did. Focusing on who Jesus is and what Jesus has done builds resilience. So consider that what's true no matter what you're facing. God loves you, God is with you, and God hates the brokenness in this world as much as you do. And we remember that God gave us Jesus to help us through all that. And Jesus has taken on and defeated all the challenges so that with our eyes on Jesus, we can get back up and keep moving forward. We can have resilience. So, number 3, what can I do? Well, the truth is, so many of the setbacks that we face in life will be out of our control. But that doesn't mean there's nothing we can do to dig deeper and find resilience. So, think about what this looks like for you. What's a good first step to help you start practicing resilience? Maybe it's opening up to someone about how you feel. Maybe it's asking for help from a friend, from your small group leader, from a counselor. Maybe it's choosing to be kind to yourself. Maybe it's choosing to make wise decisions and not make the situation worse. Whatever it is for you, think about one thing that you can do in the face of difficult things to help keep you moving. Remember, resilience helps us never give up. So if you're facing something that you know you need help with, bigger or harder than you know how to handle on your own, I want to encourage you to talk to your parents, talk to your small group leader, talk to an adult that you trust. Believe it or not, they have stories about what they've walked through to build their own resilience, and it might be helpful for you to talk with them about it. The adults in your life, the people in this room, we show up because we want to help you bounce back and choose to move forward. So consider sharing with someone about what you're facing today. Remember, we do small groups here because we believe that they are the best place for you to find space you need to talk about anything. In a room this size, I would bet a good percentage of you are going through something that is going to require some resilience building. And one of the things that I found most helpful is talking about it with other people who understand what you're going through, who also want to build resilience. So be brave. Bring it up in group, right? You may find out that you aren't the only one walking through what you're walking through. So as we conclude this lesson, I want you to think about this question. What is one thing that I am going through that is building resilience in me?